PowerPoint Lab 4 is very fun. You're going to work with the backgrounds and the transitions and the animations. So if I load these instructions here for Lab 4, and you can see what we're going to do. You're going to continue entering context, and you're going to continue with your images if you need them, if you need more word art or smart art or graphs or any of that, you continue. You're also going to add backgrounds or themes, transitions, and animations. So that's what is planned for this lab. Now, if I go over to my Dodgers PowerPoint that I've been working on, let's look at the backgrounds. The backgrounds actually on this are under your Design tab, right up here. And under the Design tab, you're going to see these themes. And there is a whole selection of themes here. But if you open up this tab here, there are more. Also down here, you can browse for themes out on the internet. And you can create your own theme and save it. So if I scroll over some of these themes, you see how in the background it's changing those? Well, some of these themes are just too busy for what I want to do. And if I wanted to use one of these, say I wanted to use this theme, and I can scroll through all of these and see what they look like. Oh, I like that one. There's blue and black here. But I want to show you something on this theme. As you scroll over the theme, a description will come up, a quick tip, and see that says Ion Boardroom. This one is organic. That's the name of the theme. So if I click on that, you see all of these. If you look over here to the left, all of these have got the theme is changed. So if I look at the background here and say I don't want this brown background, over here there are variants. So I can change the color. I can change it to blues for the Dodgers. But see, this is going to change the fonts also. So if you only want to change the background styles in this theme, there's a light blue, there's a variant of a blue, but I really don't want to use this because I want a background with some kind of blue on it. A lot of times you can change the colors, but on this one it's not very flexible. If I do this one is called Facet. So you see how all of these backgrounds are going to change. So look at here, there's a blue background. So that fits the Dodgers really well. Also, if I go down here to this theme, this slide, where the background did not change, I can change them one at a time. See there how the theme is changing there? And I want to show you something. If I right click on this theme, I can apply to only the selected slide. So I can select more than one slide, or I can select as many as I want slides. Now I can put a blue, go to the variant and change that color to blue. So you can change, you don't have to have the same design on every single slide. Don't make too many different varying themes, because it gets very confusing for your audience. But I'm going to leave this theme for right now. So your themes, you're okay. Now let's go to the transitions. The transition is how your slide changes from one slide to the next. So when you're doing your presentation, if you go from one slide to the next, that's how they change. Right now, as I was testing this, I put a crush, but I also have a sound on the background. And that sound, as you can tell, is way too loud. So if I want to change that, I could have say I want a camera, and every time I change, I can choose any of these. There's the origami. Here's the blinds. And let me, okay, I'm gonna lower my volume so they're not so loud. I can do what is called the peel off. Now, if you do the peel off, see how it comes from the lower right corner? If I go to the effect options, there it is from the lower left. I can change how I want this. If I do the fracture has no effect options because it's only one style. But if I go to the airplane, there are effect options. It can come in for the right or the left. And let me see here, the curtains, I don't think there are no effect options. So that curtain one is really nice for the beginning of a presentation. But I want to show you some more here. There are subtle, which are slow. Okay, so you don't shock your audience. There are exciting, where it falls over. There are random bars, and you can change your random bars. You can change them to horizontal. The flash, that's not very exciting to me. Let me see here. There's we already did the push, but you can push it from right to left. Play with these, they're fun. Then there are the dynamic ones. Be careful when you use these because sometimes these are so fast that they can throw your audience off. You can slow down your effects right here. The duration means the duration of the effect. So if I feel, say this Ferris wheel, see how all of those come in? So if I say that is too fast or too slow, if I go over here to the duration, I can increase the duration. Now if I go over here to the left and preview it, see how much slower that is. So you can control the speed that it comes in. So you just have to be very careful because some of these are very, very dramatic, and they will, if people have problems with their eyes or something, it'll get them confused and they will not want to watch your presentation. So that's the transitions. You can play with them. Once again, you can control the sound. You can control how long it takes. You can apply it to all of your slides. But in the case of this presentation, I don't want you to apply it to all of your slides. I want you to have different transition effects on your slides. And you should have a transition on every one of your slides. You can also control how it advances. Do you want to wait for a mouse click, or do you want it to advance after a certain period of time? Don't worry about this right now because I'm going to show you how to automatically advance your presentation. It's much, much easier. Now, animations. On animations, okay, you're going to animate an object. So you see here how none of these are highlighted. That's because I do not have an object to animate. Once I click on an object, then my animations come up. You can choose an animation. Be careful once again. Consider your audience so you don't make them seasick at looking at some of these. You see this one for the swivel. It can make you dizzy. The bounce. Okay. There's some where the font colors actually lighten and darken. Once again, you've got effects here. I'll show you those in a minute. There are other animations. Some of them will animate as the object comes into the screen. Some of them will animate if you want the object to go out of the screen. And so let's try one of these animations here, and some of them there's emphasis, which the emphasis is sort of faster or brighter. Also down here you have more entrance effects. Look at all of these. You have so many of them. So play with them. Look at the split. If I do the split, okay, so that's, I had done the bounce on the ball, so it would come in. But if I choose the top one, and let's go back here and let's get that split. You see how it comes in from the sides. I can change it to where it comes in horizontal or vertical out. Okay, and I can change the duration on that so it's not so fast. Go over here to preview. Now, did you see something wrong with that animation? As far as I am concerned, the title should come in before the logo, because it looks more natural that way. You see right here, this is the order. The first one is the ball, then the second one is the Dodgers name. If I want to reorder these, up here in the upper right hand corner is a reorder animation. If I click on that, I can move them around, move them earlier, move them later. But also, if you open this animation pane slightly over to the left, this rectangle, if I look at this picture, you see the number 1, click on it, hold the mouse down, drag it down. You see how they have been reordered? Now let's preview it. To me, that's the correct order. So you can play with your animation, and you animate each individual object. So if I want to animate this object, I'm just going to pick some objects, pick some animation. Now this is where, when you have more than one line, and I'm going to increase this so you can see it better. If I want to do the animation on this one, I am going to do an animation where it floats in. You see how they're floating in individually? That is because on the effect options, I have it set as by paragraph. If I have it set to float in as one object, you see they all come in at the same time. I like this by paragraph, so when you're talking about it, you can talk about each one and they come on the screen. Then say I want to bring that one in, and then this logo, I can split the logo and I can make this logo bigger, because now, see there? Okay, now let's preview the whole slide. Okay, I'd say that title comes in a little bit too fast, but the rest of them are pretty good. There's a couple more animations that I want to show you. And if you saw on my original presentation that I showed you, at the very last slide, the very last item that there was that said the end, I believe it did, it looked like it came in as a credit, you know, like on the movies. Where you can find that is if you open up this animations pane and you go to more entrance effects, and if you scroll down, you will see here under the exciting is credits. And if I select this as credits, under the preview, you're going to have to give it some time because it comes in fairly slowly. And then it scrolls right off the top of the page. Now, if that's too slow for you, you can reduce. I'm over here on the durations, and I can reduce that, say, to 10 seconds. And it will come in faster. See, it does come in faster. So that's a cool animation to use. There is another animation that on this slide, I'm going to go to this slide where we have the ball. And there are some what is called motion paths. You can change the motion. It's not like any of these that go in any specific motion. You can do an arc where it comes in differently. You can also do some of these turns or shapes. You can do a loop and see how it's a loop there. That one you're going to want to control, make it where it doesn't come in so fast. But the one that is interesting here is this custom path. If you want to do a custom path, you see how my insertion point is now at a plus. You start it wherever you want to start it. And right now, I'm going to start it right here and see how I'm going to go up around the edge of the slide and go all the way around and come back. Now, to stop the custom path, you press the escape key. And let's preview this and see what happens. Now, that is way too fast. If you have something like a card that you want to animate on the page, that's where this really applies. You can animate it however you want to on the page. Now, the one thing I did not show you also is the exit. So as you change from one slide to another, if this slide is done, you've got it all animated, you want something to drop off the screen before you go to the next slide, you can do an exit animation and say, I want this to fly out. See how it flies out? So if I preview this, what you have to do in order for this to work is the first thing you have to do is you have to do an entrance animation if that's what you want. So let's preview this one. Okay, and let's see how this comes in. Then I have this object selected, I add an animation, and I add an exit animation. So see here in this numbering where it has two animations. So if I preview this again, what's going to happen is it's going to come in and then it's going to go out. Now that was very, very quick. So you would want to control that. It would be better if it were something that were earlier in the animation. But you get the idea of how you can do exit and entrance animations. Okay, now I'm going to let you go ahead and animate all of your slides, and I want animation on every single slide. Okay, so go ahead and keep working on it. With this lab, I want some kind of animation on every slide. Every object doesn't have to be animated. You can continue to work on that after this lab. Okay?